How exciting. We are in an amazing place today, and I'm so excited. I'm hoping that we've got some that are already jumped on with great anticipation. We have a power-packed hour for you tonight, and I am so excited about who I'm sitting next to, this guy. So I'm going to give us a couple minutes for everybody to kind of jump on and get excited with us. Make for certain that you've got your notepad ready because you are not going to want to miss anything. This is an amazing place that we are in right now. This is just such a nice, quaint area for us to be in, and I have just am so blessed to be able to be here at the table just to have a nice little conversation with one of my favorite people, Mr. Keith Kochner.
It's kind of like a library chat.
I know, right?
I'm so glad you invited me to your home for this wonderful deal. This is gonna be fun. I'm not used to being interviewed in my own studio. This is like messing with me. I'm used to having to be prepared with questions and ready to interview people I'm interviewing, but tonight it's reversed. So hopefully I don't freak out too bad and I can still do what I need to do. I'm used to interviewing, not being interviewed.
I think you'll be great.
Okay, I hope so.
You'll be absolutely phenomenal. We have got a lot of major questions to ask Keith, and I hope that you guys have come on board to be able to ask him some things too. So I know that you guys out there are just, you beautiful ladies, you are so ready to learn and you're so hungry for information. And that's one of the most exciting things, Keith, for me to be able to do this is because it is so much fun. You know, I get to talk to them and they just open their hearts up and they open their minds up and they are just such a wealth of information. I've learned so much. You know what I've learned?
What have you learned?
How to put lipstick on.
I bet you have.
I have.
And you don't have to do it less than average because doesn't it stay on for like 8 hours?
Yes.
See, I know. What's happening.
I know. You know what's happening.
Tony, you can scoop a little bit if you don't.
You know the
scoop
scoop.
Up that way I can at least see you when you have the questions.
You know
we
the
haven't
scoop.
officially started yet, so we're still like putting the final touches on the studio, getting ready to make sure it's perfect for you guys.
Absolutely. This is fun.
My palms are sweating. Like I said, I'm a little nervous.
Nervous?
I'm a little nervous.
You don't know what questions?
If my wife was here, she'd be like, "It's because you're a control freak, and you're not in control. That's why you're nervous." And she's probably right.
Absolutely. What is so much fun, though, is that you don't know what's coming at you.
I know.
I know.
Hold on.
That's the great thing, is that when I throw stuff at you that you don't know.
We got about another 2 minutes to go. 7 o'clock straight up.
Because somebody else gets to be in control.
I know. So you can start whenever you want to start. I'm just going to hang out and no pressure on me.
Gonna hang out.
Yeah.
This is just coffee talk right now.
Hold on one sec. We're double checking. Someone said they couldn't hear.
Check. 1, 2. I'm getting the feed on our screen here. So they might want to check their volume or their mute on their computer. We have a feed here. And you can hear. Awesome.
Everybody can hear.
And you've got lots of hellos.
Lots of hellos. That's another fun thing about doing this is they are so welcoming. You know, I first started this business. I never did a live video. You guys are laughing right now if you've ever watched any of my trainings because I never did a live video on Facebook. And all of you were like, "Oh, you got to be doing live videos." I'm like, I don't want to do live videos. Like I'll come to your house, but I don't want to do live videos. And I have to say, I've gotten pretty good at live videos lately.
I've gotten better. I've got such a great team. I've been blessed with such a great staff of people to help me do all the technical stuff. When it really comes down to me trying to do it by myself, normally I screw something up. But even I've learned a little bit about. I can do Facebook Live by myself now, and I can even do some of my Zooms almost by myself.
Almost by yourself.
Almost by myself. So I'm
impressed.
Coming along, but I've been blessed with such a great team of people that do the hard stuff for me, so I can just show up and talk.
Yeah.
And answer.
You
let me peek at some of the questions.
Yeah, you can't peek at my notes.
See, she said, I'm not going to tell you any questions first.
Nope.
You got to go right off the top of your head.
That's right. We're gonna see how good he is on the fly.
Okay.
So
speed questions.
Yeah, speed questions. So
7:02.
7:02.
Should we officially get started?
We're gonna officially get started.
Oui.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so excited to be here tonight. And I know that I have just been kind of teasing you guys all for a week to give you information about what we're going to do tonight. And this is so much fun to be here. This is my first time sitting just at a chat like this and doing a live video. So this is a great experience for me, for sure. So I have the pleasure of hanging out a little bit at a table and just, chilling out. Kind of just touching base, just getting real, just knocking on the wood with my wonderful mentor, Keith Kochner. And before we get started, can I share a little bit with them about how I know you?
Absolutely,
Is that
of course.
okay?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous too because some of you may just jumped on, but I'm a little nervous this evening because normally I'm the one interviewing people in my studio, and tonight I feel like a fish out of water because you're interviewing me, and it's kind of messing with my head. But we're going to push through it anyways.
You got two control freaks here.
Exactly.
That's right.
If I start asking you questions, don't freak out.
Okay. Well, no, this is my interview. No, I'm just teasing. Just teasing. I love that you guys get to interact with us too tonight. So we actually have Keith's staff here with us tonight. They are so helpful. They're staying here late with us tonight, and they're helping us. So if you have a question, Tanya was telling me a little bit, you have a hand that you can raise on your little sidebar down at the bottom. Is it right? Okay, on the bottom. And then you also have, see, then you, I know, right? Yeah. Then you can actually type in your question, or you can chat. You can hit chat. And I see that we've got lots of people on already, so we are going to get started. So how I came across to Keith Kochner was I went to a women's networking event, and I heard him speak for the first time. I had been in my network marketing business for about 3 years, almost 4, and I had hit a place in my business, which many of you I can resonate with for certain, is that I was building a team fast. I got to a great level of success, and I started to see that my voice wasn't really hitting like it used to hit when I first started, and I wanted to get the power back in my business. Little did I know that the skills and the things that I was lacking, I would learn in years to come through mentorship. And I love what Keith taught me. One of the things that stands out to me the most that you taught me is
Tell me.
Mentorship is wisdom without the pain.
Oh, yes.
Wisdom without the pain. But there was a lot of pain, I have to tell you.
Well, mentorship is without the pain. It's like the pain you'd create yourself through learning. There's always pain and discomfort. Well, I would suggest that it's probably discomfort. Pain, I think, is when you fall flat on your face and you cause your own hiccups, you cause your own obstacles. And mentorship causes discomfort. The difference would be kind of like if you go to the gym and you drop the weights on your arm and it breaks your arm, that would be pain. If you go to the gym and you lift the weights, the next day you're really, really sore because growth was taking place.
It's true.
And I call that discomfort.
Okay,
There's
so
a difference.
I was very uncomfortable. I was very uncomfortable.
It might have went into pain for
I know,
her. Who
right?
knows?
It probably did.
It might have crossed over to pain.
What I realized, though, is that I lacked some things in leadership that caused me to spin my wheels a lot. I felt like I was running a hamster wheel. I knew where I wanted to go. I knew what was possible. I knew where I could be. And I knew I had a lot of great people on my team.
Yeah,
I had a lot of fabulous people on my team. And I just think that it's amazing that we've circled around and we've been in each other's circle of influence for over 12 years. And so for those of you that have heard me train, and you've heard me train on some principles, and you've actually heard me use some of the things, talking about levels of access.
Absolutely.
Protecting your levels of access so you don't go crazy, meaning, making for certain that as you grow in leadership, that you understand where to put your time effectively. So we all talk about always building your first line and power of duplication and things like that. But as you try to be everything to everybody, and when you don't have mentorship in place that can help guide you through that. I remember another analogy that you always used to use, and I loved it, and it was about bowling. You guys know that I've always asked you about bowling. And I've always said to you, you guys bowl? And you're like, yeah. And I'm like, do you use the bumper lanes? And you're like, no. I'm like, why do you not use the bumper lanes? Tell them why. I still do. I know.
I always say mentorship is like the bumpers in bumper bowling. They come out over the gutter. So as long as you've got the bumpers in place, there's not a real chance that your ball can go in the gutter. Now, about a year ago, I was using that same quote and story, and because I used to love bowling a lot. And so somebody said, well, your ball could still go in the gutter if you missed your lane and went to the next lane. I'm like, okay. It was one of those people in the audience that was just waiting for the opportunity to ask a funny question. But mentorship is like bumpers. As long as the bumpers are there, your ball can't go in the gutter. But in bumper bowling, as kids get older, most people think bumpers are for kids. So as kids get older, they remove the bumpers because they're afraid of what other people think, or they think they've arrived, or they think they don't need them anymore. And I'm like, why would you ever take the bumpers off? There's no rule that says you have to remove the bumpers. Removing mentorship from your life, or not having mentorship in your life, rather, would be like not using the bumpers on the bowling lane that has bumpers for you to use. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to get a strike every time you throw the ball, but what is guaranteed is at least 1 point per throw. You'll never go in the gutter. So mentorship, as I'm sure she shared with you, is a very, very important part of not only your life, but of my life too. Mentorship for me, as many of you will learn about me very quickly as we do all get to know each other a little bit more, is mentorship for me is not just a fancy word, it's a way of life. I mean, I love it, and I could teach on that I know we only have 3 hours tonight, right? 3 hours? Oh, no, 1 hour? Okay.
Just one.
I could teach on that all night because I'm a fanatic about mentorship because of the results it's created in my life and the results I've seen it create now in tens of thousands of people's lives all over the world. So I'm kind of a mentorship junkie, if you will.
Yeah, and using, you used to say using someone else's hindsight as your foresight. And so when I came to this amazing business, this company, I learned a lot about, where our vision had grown since 1999, the vision of the company, what Joni brought to the table. And, I was telling Tanya tonight that what her vision was when she started this company and how it started actually with out of ketchup bottles.
Yeah.
And I know you love ketchup.
I do love ketchup.
Now, there wasn't ketchup in the bottles. They were empty. But she used them. That's where it started. And just her vision of being able to go and give quality product to people. And I just thought about vision tonight. I thought about, we all start this business because we see what it could mean for our families. We see what this industry could mean for legacies and for generations to come. But sometimes our vision gets out of focus. And protecting your focus and learning those levels of access. So I want to ask you guys a couple of questions before I go to Keith. So because this kind of qualifies some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. I know you guys saw the Facebook post, and I'm sure that that's what intrigued you a little bit about this. I'm glad that you're with us tonight, obviously. But in the Facebook post, I think some of my questions really probably hit a couple of chords with you all. And one of the questions was, do you feel that you're pulling and dragging teams into activity? And I want to talk to Keith about that tonight. So often in network marketing, when we start a business like this, we have that vision and we see what it could mean for us and for other people. And sometimes we want it more for them than they want it for themselves.
Absolutely. I'll speak to that for a few seconds. And I want to back up just real quick for a moment, too, because I know we have a lot of people on tonight you share with me that probably don't know me. So I want to back up real quick to this mentorship because when I meet people, whether it's on a stage for the first time or a consulting contract or a corporate gig or something of that nature or one of our live events, one of the first things I always say, because I never like to speak or answer or talk, and if people don't know me, I want to make sure they understand that when I work with people or I do stuff like this or I train, I'm never training or answering from a place that I've arrived or that I know everything, because I haven't. I love working with people. I've been in the leadership and professional development industry for almost 20 years, but I like to put that out ahead of time that I don't know everything. I haven't arrived anywhere yet. But you talked about mentorship, and people always ask me, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, well, how did you get so quickly where you're at? Because we have 3 different companies that I steward. The leadership company is just one of them. It's my passion, it's my greatness, because I love helping other people live their greatest life as well, because I love what it says in a book of wisdom that I love to read. It was written about 2,000 years ago. It says, he or she who waters will be watered. And so I have other businesses. I have other things that we do well, but my greatness and my passion is serving people. And so I always like to put this out too, because mentorship is such a valuable tool. Like you said, wisdom without the pain. It's an accelerator. It's allowing somebody else's hindsight to become your foresight. Well, beyond my own experience in business, I added it up at the end of last year. I've been blessed with some of the most phenomenal mentors in my life, both personal, in faith, in business, in finance, in relationships. I met my first mentor when I was 18 years old. I started cutting his grass and cleaning his pool. That's how I got access to him. He would have a line a mile long of people that wanted to get access to him. But I figured out if I cut his grass and cleaned his pool, he would feed me breakfast for every morning that I could get there at 7 a.m. for 15 minutes a day. And that 15 minutes began to change my life. It was like a modern day Mr. Miyagi. But I added up all the wonderful years of the mentorship in my life, and it came up to 673 years. 673 years have been poured into my life. And that's through actual one-on-one mentorship. That's not taking into consideration my character studies or studying other people or audio or books or events or seminars, anything like that I've been to, but actual one-on-one relationships. And so when I share with people, I like to put that out ahead of time. People go, well, Keith, why do you get to share? Or how do you know so much? Or why do you think you know so much? Well, it's kind of like Albert Einstein said, the more I've learned that what I still don't know. So I like to put that out at the very beginning of stuff, that I haven't arrived. I teach from a place of passion. I'm on my journey too. I always say I'm not where I want to be, but thank God I'm not where I used to be. But that level, that mentorship, that relationship has elevated the level of my life, second only to my faith. And so I like to put that out so people know, well, hey, the business experience along with that mentorship, that's been poured into me. It's in my blood now, and I love to pass it on because I believe that I have to be a steward now of what I've been trusted with those gifts and that knowledge and those principles and strategies that I've used in business. I've been blessed to help people all over the world use them as well. But at the same time, I want people to know ahead of time that I haven't arrived. If you ever meet anyone who tries to convince you that they know everything and that you're the only person, that they're the only person that you need, run like the wind. Because no one person has everything. I know there's a lot of speakers out there that kind of speak from a place that they've arrived.
Right.
Or, you know, if you can just be like them, then everything will be perfect. And that's not my heart. I love to serve people. My life is phenomenal. I have obstacles and challenges too that I use these same principles and strategies with that we'll maybe be talking about tonight to continue to move my life and our businesses forward as well. So I wanted to put that out just so people will know where my heart's coming from, because a lot of people I know don't know me well.
Right.
And if I don't take a lot of time to share about myself. If you want more information on me, feel free to go to Keith Kochner, Kochner, KeithKochner.com, and then you guys can do all your due diligence on that time, because I don't like to talk about myself a whole lot. Why are you looking at me that way? I don't like to talk about myself a whole lot. But maybe but KeithKochner.com is where you can check it all out. So back to the questions here.
Okay, so we were talking about people feeling like when they first start casting that vision,
yes,
and it sometimes takes away their focus because they feel like they're pushing and pulling people into their vision.
Absolutely. I think, and again, I've probably had the opportunity and blessed opportunity to probably work and train with about 30 to 40 different network marketing companies all over the world in the last 20 years. But I think one of the biggest things that people miss when they're first starting their business, so let's start with even starting their business, is they get in, they're excited about the opportunity because it's a phenomenal opportunity. And by the way, I've been around the industry for quite some time, and Jamie's been telling me about you all and telling me about you all since she began with you all not even that long ago. I'm like, that sounds great, but then she just kept on talking, like, it can't be that good. It can't be that good. So I'm a busy person, but I did some of my own due diligence. I'm just going to tell you, I've been around a lot of companies, and now I know a little bit more about you all than I did just even a month and a half ago. And I've been extremely impressed, not just with, of course, the product, even though I haven't used the product or the lipstick. My wife's very, very familiar with it. We have some mutual friends with some of the leadership of your company, and Joni as well, that just spoke unbelievably high of this company and the leadership you all have in this company. Mm-hmm. And when I hear stuff like that and I see stuff like that on the beat of the street, it gets my attention because I love to leverage learning. I love to leverage my time and impact too. And so it's been a real honor to get to meet you all and learn more and more about your company, because you have some very, very exciting things going on. I learned in some of that research as well that you all love this blue. And so I've been doing my best whenever I'm training or speaking around people to get the bluest shirts.
Cup.
I got my blue cup out tonight. I got the blue rims here on my shirt just because I'm trying. I didn't bring my Synergence cap.
Yep.
One of the ladies gave me a trucker Synergence cap the other day. I wore it all the way home, but I forgot it tonight. I was going to wear it, but I forgot it. But I'm getting up to par on the color, so I love blue. Is actually my favorite color. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I digress. So when you get into business and you start this business in the network marketing industry or the direct sales industry, you're excited about the opportunity. Like, you'll have a wonderful opportunity for business, an opportunity to get people to make more money, have more time with their family, literally change the landscape of their life. So you get excited about that, you jump in, mm-hmm. and then you use that excitement, and other people want to jump in as well. But one of the things I always warn people of the very, very beginning is be excited, have that passion, have that enthusiasm, but at the same time, take the time to build your belief. Take the time to build your belief. So the first thing I always tell people is, hey, take time to build your belief in understanding how powerful the network marketing industry is and the direct selling industry is. It's unbelievably powerful, because then when you understand the validity of it and the bigness of it, and that's truly, in my opinion, I believe over the next 10 to 20 years, I believe that's where everything's going, back into that realm. There's a lot of people out there that are thought leaders and industry trendsetters that believe the same things that I do, or I believe the same things that they do. It's all going in that direction, but when you build your belief and you begin to understand the power of the industry, your belief will build as well. Mm-hmm. And then build your belief in why you picked Synergence, why that's such a great company within the industry, and who your competitors are, and what you have, and what your advantages are. And there's a lot of great companies out there, but you're going to have something that connected to you in this business, and it's the culture, the camaraderie, and the products, and everything else. I mean, it's all phenomenal. And the compensation plan you guys have is phenomenal. Very familiar compensation plans. You have a very good compensation plan. So you build your belief in what it is you know. So what I'm saying is you educate yourself. Some people believe that excitement replaces education. Well, excitement can work when you're talking at level 1. But when you get into the conversation with somebody about level 2 and you're really helping them make a decision, you want to have deeper layers than that. My mentors have always taught me, Keith, be very, very layered. Be very layered in your businesses, be very layered in your strategies, be very layered in your communication. So you have the excitement, but then you want to have the education and the belief beneath there, because that's what's really going to move people at a stronger, I would say more, I call it stick-to-itiveness. Mm-hmm. They'll stick to it longer. They'll stick to it because that's the number one reason why people aren't successful in network marketing. They don't stick to it long enough. So when you can move them with more than just your excitement, but you move them with your belief and your knowledge, they're going to understand. They just made a great decision to get into a great industry. They picked a wonderful business to be a part of, which is your all's company. And then they are going to understand that they have just now become an entrepreneur, so to speak. And they now have their own business, and they can do as much or as little with that business that they like. And when they understand that, you won't have to try you won't have to try as hard to keep them motivated. Because I've always said, if you're picking motivation or education, I always take education. You want to know why? Because motivation doesn't last. It's part of the formula. I love motivation. I have a great teaching called Building Bulletproof Motivation. But motivation all by itself doesn't last. It's a part of the formula, but it can't be the whole formula. So if you're picking, not that you have to, but just to make the point, if you're picking between motivation and education, always pick education. Educate yourself. I'm a fanatic about gaining knowledge and getting knowledge.
Absolutely.
And growing yourself, because when you build that knowledge, because one of the other things that we probably bump into a lot in network marketing is people have a lack of confidence, or they have fear, and so they're excited, but they're still scared, or they want to take their business to the next level. They want to impact their family's finances. They want to bring in people and help them grow their businesses too, but their confidence isn't quite there, and they have fear. Well, most fear, I love talking about fear. One of the biggest ways to eradicate fear out of your life is to grow your knowledge. There's an old quote, you've seen it in our home when you've been over, and it's on our wall. It says, fear knocked at the door, wisdom answered, and no one was there. Did you catch that? Fear knocked at the door, wisdom answered, and no one is there. In that book of wisdom that I talked about earlier, in the book of Proverbs, it says, knowledge is the principal thing, so get this. You know, one of the very first things my original mentor, Bob, he taught me this. One of the very first things, I can remember it was like yesterday. I was still at the level when I was cutting his grass and cleaning his pool. But he said, Keith, I'm going to teach you something at the very, very beginning. He goes, if you will pursue knowledge like most people on this planet pursue money, if you'll chase knowledge like most people chase money, it will not be long before you never have to worry about money again. And he said, Keith, be willing to do anything. This is what he taught me. This is a little high octane. I've never been accused of not having enough content or talking slow. I often get accused of being high octane. He said, Keith, do anything that's legal and moral. Do anything that's legal and moral to gain access to the knowledge that you want or need to live the life that you were created to live, which of course, in my world, it's called living your greatest life. I'm on a mission. I'm on an absolute mission to educate everybody, everywhere, excluding no one, to live their greatest life. So I talked about a few things there, so I hope that created value for you guys. I could go on and on for hours and hours on that, but I want to make sure I tie back into your questions and something else too.
Quite a few questions.
Quite a few questions? Okay, we have quite a few questions on that topic, so we'll go ahead and take those.
Fun.
So this is fun. I love this.
So the first one is from Maya. She says, so when you recruit, what do you say to groups to grab their attention?
Oh, that's a great question. And I know every company has different types of scripts and different things that they use, and that's important to know. You got to understand your company. Like I said, grow your knowledge. Know the company. Know the scripts. Know the comp plan. Know the products. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect before you can start anything. But here's what I'm going to tell you. This is even more important than content. This is going to really help you. If you want to know the most powerful thing that will move a group of people to action, it's not the script or the content. It's the connection. Which reminds me of a quote that I had many, many years ago. And here's the quote. Content might move somebody. Content might move somebody, but connection moves most everybody. See, I love being around somebody who's been around these trainings and everything else. When she says me as a mentor and everything else, what she's really talking about is the principles and the strategies that I represent. I'm simply a vessel. I'm simply a mouthpiece of these principles and strategies. But I can tell you this, in communication, a large part of my career, which most of you probably don't even realize, especially if you've just met me tonight, has been in the arena of mentoring other speakers in the realm of communication. And that's one of the very first things we help them do is we help them line up their content, line up the different things that are important for their message or for their company or for their presentation. But more important than that, I teach them really, truly how to connect with audiences.
Absolutely. I think that, and that leads to, so many things that we do, because without us doing a demo and without us presenting the opportunity, then we will not move our businesses forward. But it's really hard if we don't connect, because we're not being effective. Because you could spend 2 hours out of your home doing a demo, and if you don't connect with the people that you're in front of, you walk away with being very less effective than what you could have been for those 2 hours.
Absolutely. I remember times, just think about your own life. If you think about it, and this is, I always kind of give I kind of pull the curtain like the Wizard of Oz. You know, if you don't know what's happening, you think it's a big, deep voice, and all of a sudden you pull the curtain, there's a little bitty guy with an idea, you know, on a microphone. And so if you just, I pull the curtain because I would love to tell you it's like rocket science or some, you know, baffling truth of wisdom. It'll just blow your head off right now. But here's the real truth. If you just think about a time in your life when somebody was selling you something, okay, and they said all the right things. I mean, they had, you could tell they had the script down perfectly. They hit their points and everything else, but something was still missing. And you maybe liked the presentation, maybe even liked what they were offering, but something didn't quite just feel right and you passed. Has that ever happened to you? It's happened to me in my life. But then think about this as well. Hasn't there been other times, I know there has been in my life as well, where somebody was talking to me about something and I even noticed they messed up the script a little bit, or they didn't have it quite all the way down and fine-tune exactly what they felt like it needed to be. But more important than that, they connected with me because, see, connection brings protection. Did you catch that? Connection brings protection, because what most people get freaked out about is speaking in front of groups of people. So if you're scared about speaking in front of groups of people, how many groups of people do you think you're going to put yourself in front of every month?
Right.
You're going to very savvily self-sabotage yourself. So it's about building your confidence and building your skill set to be able to communicate effectively so you have that confidence to get in front of people. No, it's not about perfection. It's about connection. Connection brings protection. Can you tell I like to rhyme words? It's not about perfection. It's about connection, and connection brings protection. Because here's another thing you want to remember. In life, life's not about perfection. Life is about progression. So it's about getting in front of people, getting into activity, and going out there and really touching people's lives with your belief and your passion and that connection. And they're going to say, hey, you know what? I want to be a part of this business. Even if you don't have it all figured out yet, because who does? I don't. Nobody really has it figured out. I'm going to tell you, again, if you ever meet anybody who thinks they've got it all figured out or think they've arrived, I've got the perfect test for them. Send them home, tell them to fill up their bathtub with water, and see if they can walk across it. If they can, then maybe they've arrived, but most of us cannot. So nobody's really arrived, and you don't have to arrive to be effective. See, you don't even have to be perfect to live your greatest life. Even in the midst of my insecurities, even in the midst of my imperfections, I'm still living my greatest life. And if there's anything you hear this evening, I want you to hear more. I want you to hear that more than anything. You can be great in your business, absolutely great, and you don't have to be perfect. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't practice. It doesn't mean you shouldn't role play. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do all the things you know you should be doing. But I'm just saying, give yourself that grace and connect with them, because that's what moves people the most. And if you connect with them, here's the other part. I'm going to say one more little thing, that we can ask another question and move on.
That's okay.
If they come into your business under connection, they will stay longer. I've always told people this: stop convincing, start qualifying people into your business, and you'll have a totally different kind of business. Does that make sense? Absolutely. So stop just saying the script with no connection. Touch their heart. Tap into your belief. Because if you don't understand the powerfulness of the opportunity that you have in this company, in this industry, tap into your sidelines, your uplines, your people that are here to serve you and help you connect those dots, because that powerful connection in who you are and that belief will move people in. And when you move them in from a place of connection, they will make the decision you want them to make, but they will make it for their reasons. Did you see that? See, this industry, my industry, has a little bit of the same reputation. Network marketing, leadership, sales, or whatever. Most people are used to getting people to do what they want them to do for their reasons. No, you get people to do what you want them to do, but they want to do it for their reasons, not your reasons. Does that make sense? Normally you sell because you want them to do what you want them to do for my reasons. You want them to get what they want to do. You want them to get what you want them to do, but for their reasons. That's the connection. And when you establish that level of connection, guess what else you'll get? Trust. They will trust you. And between connection and trust, you have a much more qualified person into your business that will be there 6 months, 12 months, 36 months down the road from now. And that's really what it is you want.
That is amazing, because I think that that's part of what we all miss, is not only the connection initially, but you touched on something really great right there, is the trust factor. I mean, if they don't trust that they can tell you, hey, this is going on in my life right now, and I need your support in this, or this is going on with my business right now, and I need to sharpen my skill in this area. They won't admit their vulnerability. And a lot of times they'll just hide. They'll stop answering your phone calls. They'll stop coming to meetings. They'll stop showing up to trainings, and they'll make up a story that they can't do this business. And so they take themselves right out of the game, because they don't have the trust with you that they can come to you and get what they need. And I think that that's huge. You know?
Trust, nothing, I want to tell you this in life, nothing great happens in life without trust. And that's why I love that question. How do you bring them in more effectively? You know, I can tell you, if you want to know a little secret, if you're hopefully some of you are taking notes, or at least you're taking some mental notes, I'm going to give you a little secret right now. Would you like to know the number one reason why, I'll say it again, the number one reason why people quit network marketing?
What's that?
The number one reason why people quit network marketing. It's when their experiences don't match their expectation.
That's good.
Did you catch that?
Absolutely.
The number one reason why people quit network marketing, in business, entrepreneurships, you can take this in any area of life. I've had marriages that I've seen people's marriages crumble because their experience doesn't match their expectation. So when you're talking from a place of connection and you're building trust, you're creating an expectation of what they're going to experience in this business. So I've been around some other companies. I'm not going to name names, but I've been around other network marketing companies, some other in the industries, because there's always a few. There's a few great ones like you all's company. And then there's some other ones that give everybody else a bad name. And they hype people in, and they, you know, give the high examples of everything else, and they don't do anything else. They don't really create a proper picture. And then so when that new person gets in 6 months from now, it doesn't look like their expectations. When their experience is different than what they're expecting, they give up, they give out, and they give in. So it's a huge responsibility to bring somebody in from that place of connection, from that place of trust, and create the proper expectation. This is a real business. It's phenomenal. Absolutely, it's phenomenal. But it is a real business. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be hills. There's going to be valleys. There's going to be all those different things because it's a real business. Because if you don't create that expectation for them, you know what they're going to tell themselves?
That they can't do it.
I can't do this. Something's wrong with me. I don't have what it takes. I'm broken. This doesn't work. Or this is what everybody said. No, it's not that at all. So they just had the wrong expectation. So think about that as you're communicating with people on the way in. Set the proper expectation because you want their experience to match that. So they can go, okay, this is what it would be like. You know, I've even tell people, because in network marketing in general, I've done not your company specifically, but I've done a lot of studying in the industry. The average turnover is about 82% within the first 6 months. That's a network marketing direct sales statistic. The average turnover is about 82% in the first 6 months. I tell people, if I'm role playing with people, and I work with a lot of network marketers, if I'm role playing, I'll say, you know what, you're getting this business, it's a great opportunity. But I'm going to tell you ahead of time. In about a 3 to 6 month window, you're going to be tempted to give up, give out, and give in. You're going to be transitioning most likely from your warm market into your cold market. That's why I always tease with people, hey, act like your warm market doesn't exist. You're never going to go to the top with your warm market anyway. A warm market's icing on the cake. But when they'll make that transition from the warm market to the cold market, people they hit that first speed bump. And if they aren't expecting it, they're going to make themselves wrong, like they didn't know it was coming, like what's wrong with me, or I must be broken, or I'm supposed to be doing this. But if I tell them it's coming, people go, oh, Keith, you tell them that might be coming? Well, they're not going to do it. No, people know life is like that.
Right.
You know, I share with people the good, the bad, and the ugly. And people know if you only share with them the good, trust begins to erode. But if you'll share with them the good, the bad, and the ugly, they know you're being real with them. They know you're connecting with them. They know all kinds of things that are happening. They're going to trust you. And then when you hit that little 6 month window, they're going to go, oh, that's what he said, or that's what she said. I'm not worried. I'm not weird. This is going to work. This actually, it makes you look even smarter because they're experiencing exactly what you said they would, and they're going to reach out to you instead of running from you.
Oh, that's huge.
Does that make sense?
That is huge, yes. Reach out to you instead of running from you.
Okay, I'm going to come down, though. I'm
you got to take a drink of water.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I didn't bring my...
Somebody said, we love your points. I wish I could write as fast as you talk. And then someone actually asked if you guys could keep him.
Like in a little cage or what?
Yeah, put it in your pocket. Put it in your pocket.
It said, can we keep it?
Well, thank you. Very nice. I appreciate that. Positive
that's
feedback.
Awesome. Okay, so you talked about the convincing piece, and I love that because I think a lot of times in this business, we can feel like we're so excited and we're so amped and we got the vision and we feel like we're convincing people. So I love that you already touched on that. Let's talk a little bit about sharpening your skills at closing.
Oh, I was just going to go there. That's perfect timing. So I was going to say, just because I'm teaching you how to connection doesn't mean you shouldn't learn how to close effectively. Does that make sense? So most people get really nervous when it comes to closing. So what happens is this. One of the biggest things people fear in network marketing and direct sales is speaking to people, communicating, being in front of a group, whether it's a one-on-one, a small group, or a party, or anything like that. They're terrified of being in front of a small group. So that's number one. And if you can get past that, then you're in front of the group. Then the second biggest thing that gets people worked up is when it gets towards the end of the evening, when it comes time to ask for their business.
Go to the cheese table.
Yeah, and people start freaking out. You get nervous. Your palms start sweaty. You start getting nervous, and you start thinking, oh, man, and you basically do everything wonderful, most likely, And then when it comes to the close, you're like, well, if you want something, here it is. Okay, goodbye, thank you, goodbye. You know, or you say something really quick, or you start stumbling over your words because you get really nervous. Okay.
Or you don't even ask.
Or you don't even ask. You just cop out altogether.
Yeah.
I have a training, one of the many trainings that we train on is mastering the close. How do you master the close? Well, I'm not going to get into the entire training this evening because it's an hour session in and of itself. But I will tell you this. This is one key part, because the reason why most people have energy around closing, again, I'm pulling the curtain like the Wizard of Oz. Just think about the reason you've got energy on closing is because somewhere at some time somebody tried to close you and they really didn't know what they were doing, and it came across as pressure, it came across as obnoxious, it came across as, you know, just they're trying to make you feel bad if you didn't do it, and you didn't like it.
Salesy.
Salesy, snake oily, whatever it may be, and you didn't like how that felt. Nobody likes how that feels. So you don't want to do that to other people. And that's why you have energy around closing other people, because you don't want to make them feel the way you felt. Okay, but I got good news for you. Stop selling and start serving. Stop selling and start serving. You have an opportunity. This company's phenomenal. Joni's leadership is phenomenal. The products are phenomenal. The compensation, you don't have anything to sell. You have an opportunity to serve something to somebody with, and they can take it or they can leave it. Does that make sense? It's almost, the harder you try to sell it, you almost devalue what it is you have.
Absolutely.
But when you're serving somebody, it totally changes it. And then people are like, hey, I love to be served. Who doesn't like to be served? I love to be served. You love to be served. You all love to be served. If you switch it in your mind, you reframe it in your mind that you're not selling, you're serving, when it comes time to closing, you're going to be simply restating the things of why you got into business, or why this company is so amazing, why this industry is so phenomenal. You're not going to be selling anything. You're going to be persevering and reconnecting the dots for them, because sometimes you do have to close. So for me, close is not the pressure. Closing for me is like when I was taught in literature, you have the intro, 3 body paragraphs, and the conclusion. So if you don't like the word close, call it the conclusion.
I like
because
that.
People get really worked up about closing. It's not about applying pressure to somebody. It's serving, and the close to me is the end, or the opportunity to serve, or the conclusion of what you're doing, and then you present it and say, this is what it's all about. This is why we're here. For those of you who like to come on board, let's come on board and let's get things going tonight. If it's not for you, that's okay too. I'm always a big fan. Nobody will ever say yes until you make it okay for them to say no. Did you catch that one? Nobody will ever say yes until you make it okay for them to say no. See, if you think back to when somebody's trying to pressure you, they didn't make it okay for you to say no. They're trying to make you feel bad or make you feel stupid for saying no. I always tell people, hey, this may be phenomenal for you. It may or may not be for you. I think it is, and here's why I think it is, but ultimately you've got to make that decision. And here's why I think it'd be a great decision for you to make. So I can teach a lot about closing, but it's not closing from pressure. It's about how do you serve, how do you recap the points to help them connect even, because they probably have heard a lot, and then to bring it to a place of kind of a crescendo, where now it's time. They're either in or out. I'm going to tell you this. If you do that presentation and that communication effectively, by the time you get to the conclusion, they've already decided they're in or they're out. So then it's a matter of just taking the paperwork and the signatures from those that have decided they're in, and blessing the people that said they weren't going to do it, blessing them out as much as you would have blessed them in. Because remember, they may have said no tonight, but it does not mean they'll say no next month or 6 months from now or 12 months from now when their circumstances changes. And when you close the door, I have a whole training, as you know, on closing the door. When somebody says no, don't kick the door shut after they leave. Don't curse them shut. Don't nail it shut. And don't kick it shut. Slightly shut it very gently and softly. Leave the door open so they can walk back through it in the future. You know what I mean? Because I tell you what, when you treat them right, even if they say no, guess what goes through the roof? Your connection and the trust. And they may never say no, yes, but you know what they will do? They might refer somebody to you because they trust you now. And they know you're going to treat people right. It's not you treat people right if they say yes and they do everything you want them to do. But if they say no, they're like, oh, then you're an idiot. Get out of here. You know, no. I treat people that say no as good or even better than the people that say yes. This is a little side thing, and this is a little fun thing because this is my personality. Sometimes in business, and I have a couple different businesses, but when you're in my position, a lot of people try to pitch you things all the time, whether it's investment opportunities or different deals, and I've had a lot of them pitched to me in my life, but I can tell you, the ones I've always been interested in, one of the tests that I always do before I get involved in any type of investment opportunity or any type of other business venture, I always tell the person no. First, see how they'll react. Just to see who they really are. And when they show me their colors, if they match with who they presented before, and if it's something I want to do, then I'll come back and say, hey, you know what, I changed my mind. I want to be involved. But when I say no, and I see their demeanor change towards me or their attitude change toward me, then I knew I made the right decision to stay out of that business opportunity or that investment.
It's acceptance. It's being graceful, even when you don't get what you want right then and there.
Oh, absolutely.
It's showing grace. It's showing grace and kindness to people, which is what we're all about anyway.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a huge point. I love, and that's one of the old quotes, and I love it, is nobody will say yes to you until they know they can say no to you.
Absolutely.
And I love that. I absolutely love that. So thank you for that.
I forgot what the question was, but hopefully
I don't even know. Closing the demos, yes.
Should we go to the audience?
I want to, but before we do, I think that something that you said too, about the connection, about the serving. So many of you ask all the time, is getting effective at asking for demos when you're wowing and you're out trying to book the demos and get the hostesses for the demos. That level of serving can be in that verbiage right then.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that level of serving can start right then when you're asking to be able to come over to a hostess's house, or when you're asking them to take a peek at our products, or when you're showing them your hands with the beautiful colors on them. You know, the thing about lip sense is it's an instant, they look at it and they know that that's a quality product. The same as with the skincare. You know, right now we're making such a transition into really serving people at a level with our amazing skincare products. You know, Joni had such a huge vision when she created this company about giving different but quality products that actually did what they say they're going to do.
Shocker.
And
they actually do
I
what
know,
they say
right?
they're going to do, right? That's phenomenal.
I think that we have so much to serve people
Absolutely.
with. And so I would love to see that shift in our mindsets, is that we're serving. We're serving when we're asking. We're serving when we're booking. We're serving when we're demoing. We're serving when we're closing. I think that's
serving is about being... Serving is being sensitive to what's in it for them. Serving is being sensitive about what's in it for them. Not just what's in it for you, but what's in it for them. You know, even though I've many professional relationships and many professional business associations, different things like that. Every time our staff, and some of my team is here tonight, every time we end an email, every time we hear in a phone call, every time I sign off, I said, if there's anything that we can do as a company to serve you more, please don't hesitate to let us know how we can do that. Even if I'm already in business, okay, they're already in business, they're paying you. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine, but I still want to be of service to them.
Right.
And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And if they needed something and I could be there for them, and I will do everything I can that's legal and moral to help serve them to accomplish whatever they're looking for. Even if it's not the official relationship of what's in it for me and what's in it for them, it might be something outside of that. Because you can never serve too much. I always tell people this. It reminds me of another quote. You can never serve too much. 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 Just make sure your name is always on the list of the people you're serving, but always be careful to make sure your name never becomes the only name on the list of people you're serving. Did you catch all that? Some people, if somebody takes you for granted, Keith, you could serve too much, somebody won't take you for granted. I disagree. I believe in what goes around comes around. You reap what you sow, the karma, golden rule. I've never met anybody in any corner of the planet I've been to that doesn't believe in one of those types of things that go around, the golden rule. What goes around comes around. So you can't believe in being taken for granted and that at the same time. It's a conflict of interest. You can never serve too much. You can never serve too much. You may not always get the return from the source you're serving. That person may say no, but you can never serve, you can never build too much connection, you can never trust, you can never work with them too much and serve them. And they might still walk out and pass on the opportunity today. But guess what? That serving, that seed that you planted to serve, will have a harvest somewhere else in your life. That's the valuable part about serving and planting seed. I love seed. It's seed, time, and harvest. You're planting seeds all the time in your business and in people's lives. You've got a wonderful opportunity with your company to give them a seed of an opportunity in their life. It's seed time harvest, though. Seed time harvest. The reason I point that out is because we live in the world. I love our country. I wouldn't live anywhere else. But we do live in the capital of entitlement. When do we want it? You said now. No, that's slow. Yesterday. What do we want to do to get it? As least as possible. We live in the capital of entitlement on the face of the planet.
Absolutely.
We want seed harvest, seed harvest, seed harvest, seed harvest. It's seed time and harvest. And nothing more valuable you could do than plant seeds of service into people's lives for the success of your business. You can't lose doing that.
And I think that goes to a great point. You know, so many times in leadership when we have our volunteer army, and I always call teams a volunteer army because they are. I mean, they joined based on what you told them you saw, and then they grew their own vision once they joined your business. And that sometimes we find ourselves at a place where we're surrounded by people that we can actually see that sometimes we have to shift them out of a level of access that we once allowed them into because we maybe become drained or they take away our creativity. And I think that that's a great, quote to always keep in mind: seed time harvest, right. But to always remember that you are also to protect your levels of access.
Levels of access, absolutely. By the qualified, I mean, I've had to transition people out of my life. I'm going to tell you this: 95% of the people that were transitioned out of my life never knew they were transitioned out of my life. They never knew it.
Nope.
Because I closed the door softly, not about them, but about me and my goals and my greatness and my callings. Same thing with you and your company. You got to have levels of access. I'm not trying to be too faith-based, but even Jesus had levels of access: the 12, the 3, and then John the Beloved, the 1. Even he had levels of access, and that guy was pretty amazing. So if he did it, it's a good example for us to do as well. So I could talk more about that too, but I know there's other questions
awesome.
here,
Yeah,
maybe from
go
the
ahead.
audience or whatever else you'd like to talk about.
Got a lot of questions.
We can go until midnight.
We probably could. All right. Let's see. Some of them we've kind of focused on. Here's, as a new distributor, what should I focus on the most right now to help build my business and myself?
As a new distributor, what should you focus on most? Activity. Activity, activity, activity. So as a new distributor, I love knowledge. It's important. You've got to learn. You got to grow. Mentorship. Mentorship Mastery is the name of our company. Mentorfish, mentorfish.com. It's everywhere in my life. But you can't always only learn. If you only sit and learn. In the art industry, they call it a seminar superhero. They become seminar superheroes. It's easier to go to seminars than it is to go out and grow your business. I'm an active proponent of you've got to grow and then go. Got that? Did you catch that one? Grow and go. You got to put into activity. You got to implement what you're learning. Otherwise, you become a pseudo-intellectual. Right. You just become a pseudo-intellectual. You know so much about everything, but you've never done anything.
We used to have a saying: it's better to have ignorance on fire than knowledge on ice.
Yeah. It's activity. It's kind of like, it's not ready, aim, fire. It's ready, fire, aim. You want to get out and do something. But if you're new, one of the best things you can do, in my opinion, is what we talked about earlier: build your belief. Now, you may be new. That's why I love network marketing. You've got uplines, you've got sidelines, you've got third-party validations. So you've got to engross yourself with what's possible in your business, in your company. Does that make sense? So when you're new, one of the things that's going to be something that's going to take a lot of focus to protect is your energy and your belief. And we can talk about focus again in a minute if you like, but I'm going to tell you this: build your belief. Build your belief. Because that's what your subconscious is going to try to get you on. Oh, it's not possible. Oh, it's not going to work for you. It's like that little battle in your mind. You ever heard those little voices in your head? Or am I the only one?
No. All the time.
You can do it. No, you can't. Yes, you can. No, I can't. And it's going to go back and forth. So what I do, especially when I'm new at something, and I'm still new to a lot of things in my life, but I go right to building my belief. So I go and find examples of people that are at where I want to be or have something that I want to have. Does that make sense? It's hard for you to convince yourself that something's not possible when you're standing next to somebody who's living it. That's like another value of mentorship. So if we're in my office, but if we were to go over to our Hall of Greatness, or if we were to go up front to my executive suite, you would see some very specific pictures on my wall. I've got Steve Jobs. I've got 5 very specific ones in my office: Steve Jobs, Henry Ford, John D. Rockefeller, Andre Agassi, Michael Jackson. So I'm going to tell you what, one of our other businesses is just, it's on wildfire right now. I mean, it's going through the roof. It's in the fitness and health industry. It's an online fitness resource like Beachbody, Daily Burn, Peloton, livestreamingfitness.com. But I'm going to tell you, there's days where it's so big because the trajectory and the growth is happening so fast. Even if I screw this up, it'll probably put them in a 400 list by the time I'm 50, which is in 8 years, 8 more years. But I'm going to tell you, there's days where I feel extremely insignificant and very small. And I ask myself, Keith, who do you think you are? I mean, who do you think you are that you are the founder of this company and that you think this vision is going to be out there? And I don't run that company, I have a team of people that run that company. And I start to feel that, and I start questioning my own belief. But then I look to the wall, for example, and there's a picture, I named several, but Steve Jobs. I'm like, you know what? He left the planet a little early, in my opinion. And you know what he did? He flipped upside down 4 different industries. He was so passionate about his belief and how he saw things when he was younger. I've never met Steve Jobs personally, but I've met people that have worked with him personally, several that I've interviewed and got to learn from a lot, that interact with him often. He used to believe so strongly in how he saw things, people around him would make fun of him. They would call it his reality distortion field. They would call it his reality distortion field. So maybe you've got a vision for your business right now that's amazing. And your family and friends and people you thought were going to be excited maybe aren't as excited as you thought they were. And they're even kind of maybe making fun of you, trying to make you feel stupid because you've got such a big vision. Don't listen to them. You want to know why? Because what was once called his reality distortion field, distorted reality, is now the actual reality that we all live in. He wasn't distorted, they were. And so when you're new at something, your belief is often in the limbo. So I go back to that same anchor. Build your belief. Be around examples. Look for that mentorship. Look for the examples that proof is in the pudding type of thing. You can't convince yourself it's impossible if you're by somebody who's made it a possibility.
Right. And there's possibilities all around us.
Exactly.
In not just our company, but in our industry, in your communities. I mean, there's stories all around where people didn't think it was possible, but
people made fun of me. When I went into the leadership industry, when I was in my late 20s, but by the time I was 28, they were calling me the next Tony Robbins. I'm not condemning or condoning Tony. I personally am a fan, but I'm not condemning or condoning, but it was meant as a compliment is the point. And I was on the circuits, and I was doing all the big venues and all the big stages and everything, but I walked away from it for a reason, to reach more people. Because, see, I'm on a mission to educate everybody everywhere, excluding no one, to live their greatest life. And I went into a totally different direction. I went to make these kind of principles at this level, in this kind of industry, affordable. Because, see, my industry, the leadership industry, people would get off on the better you were, the more expensive it would be. And the more expensive it was, the better it must have been. But that kept most people out of it. See, I grew up without a lot. I grew up financially without. Wonderful family, great parents, 47 years, yesterday married, younger brother lived up the street, you've met him, you know. But I grew up without a lot. And it hit me one day as I was flying to Australia to do a 2-week 5-city tour. It kind of hit me, Keith, you've gotten too big for your own britches. You couldn't even afford it yourself with where you began. And then it took me way back to the very first day with my first mentor in his yard. And if he hadn't helped me, if he hadn't let me cut his grass and clean his pool, I would have never had access to him. So he helped me when nobody else would help me. Does that make sense? And I thought, in life, if you really look at the masses of people, who wants access to this kind of knowledge the most? The people who need it the most. The people who need it the most are normally the people that cannot afford it the most.
Right.
So and people made fun of me, say, Keith, you'll never be able to do it. You'll never be able to do something in economies of scale at a price point that can be scalable to the masses. They laughed at me 9 years ago before we launched the very first one. They laughed at me. Well, fast forward to today, to make the long story short, nobody's laughing anymore. Nobody's laughing anymore. People are lining up in our business model. And in true abundance, we've actually let other people use our business model now because it's about a price point people can afford.
Yep.
And I knew that in that industry with Steve Jobs. He flipped 4 industries upside down. And I was terrified and had belief in my going back and forth. If he can do 4, I can do 2. Serving people and reaching them in a way. But if you're new in your business, get in an activity. Surround yourself with people that build your belief. Examples, until you borrow theirs, until you have your own. You use their runway until you've got your own runway. And you show them the examples. And you say, hey, come along with me. I'm new, but you're new. Let's go do this together. And people will join you because they trust you and they feel connected to you. And you have a wonderful journey and a wonderful opportunity to walk out together.
And I think it's so important, too, is don't wait until you think you have it all figured out. Because I'm 15 years in, and I still don't have it figured out. You're always, what you said a while ago, it's about progression, not about perfection. So don't wait for all the stars to align and everything to be perfect. Just start going out and serving people. Find who you can connect with and find who you can serve and share with them these amazing products and opportunity that we have in our company. What's the next couple questions?
What do you do when people say they want to join, then after you explain everything, they stop answering your calls, messages, etc., or they keep saying they want to do it, but they never do?
Well, that's a high-octane question. What do you do with people that say one thing but do another?
Doesn't that happen in every part of our lives? I mean,
I was going to say, sometimes I still do that because I haven't arrived anywhere. Sometimes I say
not just in our business.
Here's the deal. And this is it. I'm going to give a very general answer, and you can speak to this too if you like. In my professional and personal opinion, the only reason we're always so concerned with the one person that we're talking to that says they want to be in it, and then they won't follow up, and you're following up, and they won't answer. The only reason we're so concerned with that one person is because we're not talking to a bunch of other people at the same time. It's always a number game. You're not filling the funnel. Does that make sense? So I always tell people, hey, how many people have you talked to? And they're talking about that one person, what should they do? I'm like, wait, rather than focus on that one person not doing what you want them to do, go find 10 others that will do what you want them to do. A good buddy of mine in the industry says, stop trying to motivate your team and go find a team that's motivated.
I love that.
Go find people that are already
Stop
motivated.
trying to motivate your team
and go find people that are motivated.
I love that.
And I borrow stuff from people too sometimes, and that's a great statement.
Yep.
But it's that same kind of, I'm not saying don't walk with grace and mercy and love and compassion for people, okay? But maybe they're just a walker. Maybe they're a jogger. Maybe they're a runner. I know we always only want runners, but we need walkers, joggers, and runners.
Need them all.
But when one person's not doing it, then fine. Love them, do your drip, put them into the drip, and then move on to former people. Because while you're trying to chase them down, you've maybe missed 10 or 15 or 20 other people that month that may really want to move forward. And don't make them wrong. Excuse me, don't be upset with them. And definitely don't judge them. Have compassion for them, because you know what? That might be their polite way of saying no. They just don't know how to say no.
Right.
It doesn't mean don't give it your best shot. Maybe try to pivot them and close them, or go to the conclusion and serve them with more knowledge if that's what they need or looking for. Give them some patience, because an analytical person, if they're analytical, they will need time to think about it. But if you've done all of those kind of things and you just really feel like they're trying to get away, then let them go.
Yeah.
Let them go. And plant them a seed and say, you know what, I'm so glad they left now instead of 6 months from now. That's how I am. I'd rather find out like up front that they're not in.
Right.
I'm so thankful they quit now or didn't say yes now, and instead of saying yes for 6 months and then give up then and quit then after I invested 6 months of my time with them.
That, and it frees your door up and it frees your time up to be able to find the one that wants to say yes. Absolutely. So you can train them and launch them in their business. So yeah, absolutely. What's the next question?
These two can kind of go together. What mantras and books do you go to when you're feeling low or slow in your business to gain momentum again? And then someone asked, what if you put your business on pause for a while? What do you do to restart it or restart the excitement? So
okay, yeah. Well, first of all, for me, and I respect all different faiths, but for me, the number one go-to book for me is the Bible. Anytime I'm in a struggle in life, or I'm feeling insignificant or insecure, or my worthiness issues come up, I always go to my faith. And that's me personally. So I love that. It's a book that's always served me and will continue to serve me very, very well. I would not be where I'm at in my life without my faith. Outside of that book, there's many great books. I'm in a constant pursuit of knowledge. Right now, I used to do more, and sometimes I've done less, but right now I'm about a book a week. So I'm always pounding more knowledge into myself on different topics based on what it is I'm struggling with. If it's motivation, if it's how-tos, if it's belief. Sometimes I just read other information to encourage me. Other people's stories, maybe in different industries, but it's a story about success and how it took them a long time and then it happened, that journey type of mentality.
That grit.
Yeah, that grit, that stick-to-itiveness, because nothing great happens overnight. I've always told you this, if you're ever around somebody who thinks they become a success overnight, there's probably a good chance that you just don't know the earlier chapters.
Right.
That you need to go back and look at the earlier chapters. If you ever do come across a unicorn or an anomaly, and it's an overnight success, and it truly is, pay it no attention, because it'll be gone by the morning. Okay, so if you put your business on pause and you want to come back out of business, it's simply unpause it, act like you're restarting a second time again, say, hey, you know what, I'm starting with all the extra knowledge I had the first time. Some people make it a negative, like, oh, I stopped and now I'm trying to get relaunched. No, you're just launching again with more knowledge and more experience, because think about this. How amazing is this opportunity if you put it on pause and came back to it again later and wanted to start it again? Most things that go on pause never come back around to you. So the fact that it even came back around to you validates several things. One, that is valuable. Two, you do really want to do it. And three, you've got the passion. All you got to do is unpause it and replace that pause with passion and go right back at it. The thing not to do is do not make up a story that doesn't serve you about why you paused it. Like, don't make it mean something negative to you. Hey, I'm just glad you're still here. I'm glad you came back. Make it a positive thing. Make it a story that will serve you. See, when you make up stories that don't serve you, you're going to sabotage yourself. When you make up stories that do serve you, you're going to be right about it, and you're going to go out and prove yourself right about why it will work again and why you actually have the deck stacked in your favor, because this is not your first go-around. It's no different than when people ask me, hey, Keith, I go into qualification or I lost qualification. Has that ever happened to anybody? Have you ever gotten to a certain income level or a certain title, and then you lose that title or income level? I cannot tell you how many people in this industry are so ashamed. And I mean, I've had people in tears and they can barely get it out. So I've lost my title, or I once had this and now I don't have that, or my income used to be here and now it's here. And they're so down on themselves. So wait. You've had it and you've lost it, but you can get it back, right? Absolutely. Or they go into qualification, that kind of thing. Well, I got into qualification, but I didn't make it all the way. The same kind of scenario. They make it up like it's a huge negative. I'm like, wait a second. If you have had it and you lose it, and I go, how do I talk to people if I tell them I lost it? Well, no, you've already had it, so you already know the track record. Yep. You already know how to get there. You already know the path. If I'm picking and I'm new to network marketing, and I get to pick between Jamie, who's had it and lost it, and Sally, who's never had it. Who do you think I'm picking? Jamie. Does that make sense? So again, it's about reframing and understanding. And it's also understanding this too about business. Businesses always have yings and yangs. Don't anchor your significance. Don't anchor your significance to your bank account. Anchor your significance to your serving, and your bank account will always follow your serving. Did you follow that?
That's awesome.
And that'll bring a true power in your life. A true power in your life. All businesses have ups and downs. Our businesses, industries have ups and downs. That is not also network marketing and direct sales has the titles and income, so you feel like you're losing or gaining. No, it's about momentum. Business is always, I call it the sprint puke. A lot of people do this. There's always going to be ups and downs, but it could be this. And over time, your momentum grows, and you might be in and out, in and out, in and out, but then you'll be in. And then when you're in, you'll stay because the momentum took you there. So I always tell people, don't make up stories that don't serve you about what it means to have lost a title or lost an income level or that you put it on pause, you're back in. Just build your belief that you're back in for a reason, and you've already experienced it once, you can go back and get it again.
Right.
I tell you what, I'd rather be with somebody that's experienced it than somebody that hasn't.
And give it time, because
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
that's a lot, is that we want to run a race. We just saw that the Boston Marathon was won by a 33-year-old woman. She had no sponsors. She had no endorsements. She had no flashy clothes, nothing like that. She didn't even have a lot of people cheering her on. But she ran the race. And it's not a race, a sprint. If she'd have sprinted, she'd have died on the 1 mile line. You've got to run, you've got to set that pace in place.
Business is like a marathon. Most people think it's a sprint. So I've always said this way, you've got to put a pace in place to create the space for you to run your race. You got to put a pace in place to create the space for you to run your race, because if you do not, you will fall flat on your face. And then of course you can always, I told you I like to rhyme things, but it helps us remember them, helps me remember them,
true.
the importance of pace. And it's about your experience and what pace. It's not about going slow or fast. It's about picking your pace and moving yourself forward in a place that can be maintainable and sustainable. And I'm going to put this in. I know we're running out of time, but pace reminds me of another thing I love to help people with in direct sales and network marketing. Somebody asked about when they're new in that activity. Create consistency.
Absolutely.
Create consistency in your business. Continual consistency breeds conditioning. Continual consistency breeds conditioning. Be continually consistent. A great business is like fitness. It's a daily decision. It's a daily interactive. I can't tell you people I've seen, they get something and then they get casual and then they stop. I've always said this, casualness breeds casualties. Casualness breeds casualties. A good friend of mine was just on the stage with Eric Rory. She's a top income earner of another company. And she loves that quote. She's been a friend of mine. I've been a mentor for her for years. She's a mentor of mine as well. Another top income earner in the industry. And she loves that quote. It's one of the best quotes that she's ever said that she'd ever heard me say, and she uses it everywhere. I had a bunch of people text me this past weekend, hey, I heard Donna use your quote. Oh, I said her name by accident, but it was okay.
That's okay.
Casualness breeds casualties. Be continually consistent, continually consistent, continually consistent. It's the little step, little step, little step that makes the biggest difference. I'm going to close with this, or maybe we can go to another question if you want me to, but I'm going to tell you this tonight. As you wrap this whole, I know we've talked about a lot, but know this is true. You're not big steps away from anything. You're not big steps away from anything. You're small steps away from everything. It's a little step, little step, little step. Continual consistency. Build your momentum, and your momentum will change your life and change your business. And this business will not only change your life, it'll change the people's lives that are around you as well. Because you'll be able to get more people in, you'll be able to give more, you'll be able to impact more people's lives. It's a win-win-win in my opinion. So I hope I held the bar high enough.
Oh my gosh, you did. I am so excited. I know I'm going to take 2 more questions. I know we have a ton to go through, and Tanya's over there just doing this, typing away.
Maybe we'll have to do another one.
One thing I want to touch on is that if you guys, I feel that you guys, and I felt this in my tug, is that you would find huge value in this tonight. And my heart is, as yours is to serve. I love these girls. I have found my home. I have found my tribe. And I am so incredibly proud to be a part of this company. And I want to make for sure that we brought this to you guys, because so many things are possible for us. We've got a new seminar year right now. We are heading into the best part right now. We're able to plan great goals. We're having our seminar here in Tulsa next week.
I heard there's a Royal Blue Eclipse coming to Tulsa.
There is. An eclipse.
You guys need some good restaurant recommendations or some good places downtown?
Yeah.
Just reach out.
He's in Tulsa.
How can we serve you?
He's in Tulsa.
I can give you some good food eating
That's
places
right.
downtown.
So one of the things that I wanted to point out, though, is that something that I found value in 12 years ago, and I am so blessed that he has agreed to help anyone out that wants to reach out to him in his office, is that he is going to put on and committed out of relationship.
You're saying this so sweetly.
I am.
She's saying it so sweetly. She twisted my arm
Whatever.
and said, listen, this event changed my life. And she was telling me about you all, and I said, listen, she talked to me for a while, and all of a sudden I started hearing it, and I saw the value of what you have in this company and your passion behind it. Because I know your career, I've seen your career, and I see your passion for this company, because it's an amazing opportunity for them to have you and for you to have them.
Thank you.
And that got my attention. And she goes, well, Keith, if they're interested, you got to bring out the 2-day. I stopped doing the 2-day event about 4 years ago because of my time and the demand on my schedule, along with my children and my wife and all my negotiations that I have with my team and my travel schedule. But she basically twisted my arm. And so I said, I'll have a relationship with you, because you always want to remember the people. You always want to remember the people that believed in you before you were a big deal. Never get too big for your own britches. Always remember the people that were there before in the humble beginnings. And so out of that respect, I said, you know what, if they are interested, great. I will bring out the 2-day event. I haven't done a 2-day event for any other company in over 5 years, except for one of my international companies I work with, because I travel halfway around the world for it, so we do it there. But in the States and North America, it's always been 1-day events. But I'm gonna bring out the 2-day out of retirement, if you will.
Awesome.
My wife said, never say never. I said, I never do the 2-day again, because I love it. It's a powerful event, but it's the time, and it's just my time with my family, my kids, and now my life is not about finances anymore. It's not about about money. It's about creating impact and influence in people's lives. And Jamie basically, she said it a nice way, and I was teasing about twisting my arm. She basically said, listen, if you want to make an impact and influence, this is a wonderful opportunity. You're always talking about leveraging your impact and influence. And she told me that when she started sharing more about your company and Joni's vision, which I haven't yet to meet, but I hope I get to meet her someday soon. The vision of your company is so amazing, and the people are so amazing. I said, well, you know what? Let's do it. So if you're interested in that, I have a few dates available. It's in the midst of all my other travel schedule. How do you want me to do? Want me to give them my email or a
they
number
can
or whatever?
contact.
Let me give you Tanya's email, and then you can reach out if you have interest. And if you that's okay. It may or may not be for you, and we'll send you a packet on it. But if you'd like to host a 2-day event in your area, we've got a very easy turnkey deal. The event's very affordable. It's a $75, $85 ticket. Again, it's a cause-based business model. There's no high-end, high thousands of dollars upsells, anything of that nature either.
No.
My entire life, there's a lot of speakers out there that they speak to talk you into spending thousands of dollars. I speak to help you save thousands of dollars and still being the best training, the best resources that are entire industry out there to help you move your life and your business forward. So let me give you Tanya's email really quick. It's Tanya, Tanya, right, Tanya? Tanya, because it's Tanya, but we call her Tanya. So that's why.
Jammi, but we call her Jamie.
Yeah, I call her the Siv. It's Tanya at mentorship, 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 mastery, mastery.com, mentorshipmastery.com. Tanya at mentorshipmastery.com. Out of honor for you all and this company, I put them on. They're limited, so it can be first come, first serve basis. I'm also on my schedule. But I want to serve you all as much as I can serve and be a blessing. I'd love to plant seed into your company and be of service to you. So hopefully we did that tonight as well. And again, if you want more information on me, they can go to keithkochner.com too.
keithkochner.com, absolutely. I put some testimonies on my Facebook page today, so with our link to tonight's call. So if you want to check out those testimonies, they're on my Facebook page. I know that not everybody sees everything that gets put on Facebook anymore because Mark has changed all the algorithms. Yeah. Good old Mark. Let's take 2 more questions before we get off, because we still have a lot of people still on. Yes, we have a lot of people still hanging. We got a lot of people still hanging with us. You don't mind serving? We'll serve some more.
Let's see. There was one I had pulled up. Let me get back to it.
We got raised hands. We got typed questions.
One of the questions was from someone who is talking about how she offers trainings, one-on-one calls, and various mediums for connecting with her team, but rarely gets participation. She began contests in which she participates in, tries to arm her team with weapons of education on product knowledge and business skills, and reaches out to them often. but she would like some ideas on how to become more effective in motivating them.
Well, I think it's going to go back to a little bit what we've already talked about tonight, about just building that belief and really making it about what's in it for them. And it's feedback. Everything in life is feedback. I love feedback. I eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So, for example, and this isn't exactly what she asked, but I've been around this industry, so it kind of brought another scenario. If you're hosting group presentations or you're doing parties or whatever it is that your company calls them, and people say yes, but then they won't host, like they cancel. They'll say yes, but then they cancel. So then what happens is, a lot of times we're not really asking them to host, we're asking them to say yes. You see the difference?
Right.
A lot of times what we're really going after is we want to hear a yes, so we'll say whatever to do to get them to say yes, but we really didn't qualify them, we really didn't explain what it was going to be and the value of what's in it for them. Because if they're canceling, if they're not showing up, that's good, honest feedback that we're missing that part about what's in it for them.
And team as well. That's true of
absolutely.
team. Because just because you have a training the third Monday of every month, and you're showing up and nobody's with you. I remember one of the famous quotes of John Maxwell said, if you think you're leading and you're taking a stroll and nobody's behind you, then you are not leading. You're just simply taking a stroll. So
Exactly.
So you got to, like you said, show benefit.
Yeah, go back into what's in it for them and create the vision about what's there and what the values they're going to get from the training, and listen to that feedback and adjust. Because there's always two decisions. Do you want to persevere or do you pivot? In business, that's a business philosophy, persevere or pivot. You want to persevere, but if what you're doing, you're getting continual, consistent feedback that you're not getting the results that you'd like from it, then you pivot until you get the results that you want. Does that make sense? And there's no right or wrong, because you will try. And if everybody had the right answer and the very first answer, it worked for everybody all the time,
right.
And there's no silver bullet, but that's what everybody wants. There is no silver bullet. That's why this is a business. It will take time. It does take effort. You will learn. You will grow. And there'll be things that you do. But in my opinion, one of the biggest things, and this isn't necessarily true for maybe this single person, but in my industry, I'm bringing all my collective experience together in the industry, most of the time, it goes back to the same thing I said earlier. We're not talking to enough people. And when the small group of people that we have been talking to isn't doing what we want them to do, it sucks us in and gets our attention and robs us from bringing attention to other people. So I like to bring my attention to things, not let things get my attention. There's a quote that I came up with many years ago. Successful people bring their attention to things. Unsuccessful people let things get their attention. So don't give your attention to the few that aren't doing or want. Go talk to more people. And you say, Keith, my entire team isn't. Well, then it's probably not enough on the entire team, because ratios, if you had enough on the entire team, it'll look like this. 2 will never do what you ask them to do. 2 will always do what you ask them to do. And it's a 6 in the middle that's going to make your business. Does that make sense? So you can use the same thing out of 100. It's 20 will never do what you ask them to do. But if you only got a team of 15 or 20, and that's because you don't have enough people. 20 will never do what you ask them to do. 20 will always do exactly what you ask them to do. It's the 60 in the middle that's going to create the difference in your business. There'll be the walker, joggers, and runners. And that's what you really want to dial into. So again, I don't know if that's exactly true for that person, because I don't know that person.
That is awesome.
But generically, it's always, most of the time, a lack of volume and a lack of numbers of people.
Right.
And I know most companies in the industry, it's 30 to 50 contacts a month to do and be at a pace to be able to reach the top income levels of that company. And I believe if you do that, you can reach top income levels in 12 to 36 months of companies when you do it continually, consistently.
And we do we teach 3 wows a day. So if you worked your business 5 days a week, that's 15 wows. Out of 15 wows, then you figure out how many is going to book, and then how many are going to keep it. If you show value in what you're asking for them to book and a demo, then they'll keep the demo.
Right, because that's 60 a month.
Because that's 60 a month.
And what do you want? Probably two parties a week?
Two demos a week.
It's almost like I've been here before somehow.
I know, right?
8 is great. You want the 8, you want 2 a week. But if you got 60 you're talking, you get 2 a week. That's 8 a month. You got to have the right numbers. It's because of ratios. It's a numbers game.
Yep, it's numbers. All about numbers. Go ahead with the next one, Tanya. Tanya. I'll call you Tanya.
I'll answer to either one. Don't worry. Let's see. We've got a bunch that sort of center around how to deal with the bad reputation that some direct sales have, and within that, how to continue to recruit more business builders.
I love that question. I love it.
Oh my gosh, you guys got this off out of me.
Yeah. So, we're in a little studio chat, fireside chat with no fire. People are asking, how do you offset the negative reputation of the network marketing industry? I asked myself the same question. How do I offset the negative reputation of sometimes the leadership and professional development industry? This is what I love. and I wouldn't put this out if I didn't believe in your company and believe that how great it is, because it wouldn't work if you weren't amazing. The worse the reputation is, the better it is for you. I love it when people come at me with horrible stories of other speakers and other people in the industry and horrible stories, because then I just be me and be true who I am into my serving, and I just set myself apart for them. So what I'm saying is, don't run in fear, attack them straight on and say, you know what, I know this industry has reputation, because like in any industry, there's always a group of companies that give everybody a bad name. But if you want to open, I thought of the same thing maybe when I got into the company, but I listened long enough to hear there was a difference. And I would love to share that with you this evening. I know the industry has a bad reputation, but we're not the industry. And if you'll just give me a few moments of your time, I would love to share with you just a few things that were shared with me that set our company apart from those reputations.
Absolutely.
And if you connect good with them, you build that connection and that trust and that serving, here's what they're going to leave. Oh my gosh, that is not what I thought was going to happen. That is not what I was expecting. They are different. And then you're going to pull them in. It's called educking, pulling something out. You're going to pull them in to your business by just being amazing and being a servant leader.
And authentic.
Authenticity. That's one of my favorite words.
Be authentic, because we are different. We are special.
I love bad reputations because it makes yours look even better.
Embrace it. Exactly.
And don't run from it. Explain why. Because there are a lot of, I must have Jack. I would say the same thing. Hey, you know what? There are a lot of people in my industry that are speakers and trainers and everything else that have given a bad name to our industry as well. That's one of the biggest things that I offset. As I say, I'm in the speaking industry, or I'm a leadership and professional development trainer, or some people call me a motivational speaker, whatever you want to call me is fine. But they go, oh, you're one of those. And they've had an experience. I'm like, well, I am who I am. I don't know who those people are, but I know there are some people out there. That's why I always tell people due diligence is so important. That's why I tell people, hey, don't take my word for it. Go do your due diligence on me. Go to keithkochner.com, because I believe in due diligence. Just like, that's why I go to church. So that's why some pastors are very careful who they bring in front of their audience. Before the congregation, they're very sensitive. You should be in this company. You should be in all companies. Be very careful who you put in front of your teams. Do your due diligence, because there are people out there that do stupid stuff. Well, the same thing's true in your company. Now, it makes me look better because when I come up and serve and I'm authentic and I make it about people, make it about truly moving people's businesses forward, not hype, not thousands of dollars worth of debt and all this other nonsense that's out there in the industry today, but truly about people living their greatest life. People are naturally drawn to my content and to our trainings and to our company. Not me as Keith Kochner, but what I represent. Do the same thing, your version of the very same thing in your business.
Right.
Don't run from the negative reputations. Say what you've heard and explain them, but then show them, more importantly, why your company is different. And the main way to set yourself apart is connection. We talked about that already. And then they're going to, wow, if I'm going to do this and I see the value of the industry, I want to do it with this company. And that company is going to be your company. And you will continue to grow. You guys have been doing some amazing things over the last couple of years. I've done my due diligence as well, because I don't just do these kind of things for anybody. I came straight from our ranch today. I'm a little itchy. I did take a shower, but I was out at our ranch today just spending some time the last 2 days studying and doing some writing. But I believe in great companies, and I don't do this for every company. And so I believe in your company. You've got something amazing to offer people, so share it, and don't worry about the negative reputation of the industry, because you're different. Go out there and change the reputation of the industry.
Absolutely. What's the next one?
Let's do one more. I did promise my kids I would tuck them in tonight.
All of these comments, so you've got some. I think this is a good one. You were talking about building trust and managing expectation up front. What's your best recommendation to begin to bridge trust and turn it around when you've, like, how do you do some damage control in that area if you've already...
Like if you've broken trust? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, that's...
Or you didn't build it effectively when you were starting to talk to them about the company.
Well, I've always said when you learn something new, everything can be different from that moment forward. Does that make sense? So every time you learn something new, everything can be different. So if you've learned something new, for example, listening here, and you say, oh, you know what? I haven't established a trust that I would like to have. Then this is just me, because this is my personality, authenticity. Mm-hmm. I would go back and say, hey, Jamie, you know what? We've been in relationship together for 6 months in this business opportunity, and I've been learning some new things. But one of the things I've just now learned and figured out is I wasn't effective. I wasn't as effective as I wanted to be in establishing trust with you and really showing you the value that this company brings to you in your life, and what I'm dedicated to in serving you and making sure you're successful. But I'd like to not restart, but I'd just like to put some new protocol in place with you and really give me the opportunity to reestablish that trust or pour more into our relationship, because I believe you deserve it. I believe this opportunity deserves it. And nothing great happens without people. And I need you and you need me. We need the company. We need corporate. The field the field needs corporate. You know, we want to do that whole trust thing and bring it together and just address it. And if you've broken trust or you've done something, you've messed something up. I I tell people when they work with me, you go back to the very first, any company that's ever worked with me, I tell everybody, hey, I probably will do something sooner or later. I'll drop the ball, I'll say something wrong, I'll screw up because I'm a human being. I'm going to tell you right now I'm not perfect. So I'm going to ask for grace and mercy ahead of time. So, and I'll say right now, for any of you that we end up doing an event or we maybe do more trainings together, whatever it may be, I'm going to tell you right now because this is a new opportunity for me too. I'm getting to know you all as well. I'm not perfect. I'll screw something up. I'll say something stupid sooner or later. If my wife is behind me right now, she'll be like, yes, yes, he will. So I always ask for grace and mercy ahead of time. So as you start people in your business, let them know this is a journey, just like life. There's going to be the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there's going to be all of it. But you're going to give your best to move and grow together. And when you do fall short, you'll acknowledge it. When you do make a mistake, you'll own it. You'll ask for forgiveness. You'll make it right, and you'll reestablish the trust. That's authenticity. And you're going to say, Keith, you're going to tell somebody that? Yeah, you want to know why? Because they're going to believe that and have more trust in you if you tell them that than if you try to create this, what I call the illusion of success, or that you're perfect. Because if they think you're perfect, they're not going to believe that anyways. And if that's what you're trying to make them believe, it's actually going to erode the trust. So be real. And if you've dropped the ball or you haven't done as well as you'd like to, just own it. And then move forward with it. Ask my staff. I drop the ball all the time. I say, you know what, that's not how I want to handle that. I'd come back and make it right. Ask my wife, same thing. I've said stupid stuff. My kids, I've got 4 kids. 4. And when I mess up with them, I go back and say, you know what, that didn't come out like I wanted it to come out. Or I could have done better as a father. I'm not a perfect father. I think it's important for them to see me acknowledge my mistakes and even ask them for forgiveness and everything else as a parent, to let them know it's not about perfection. So I hope that answered the question a little bit. I know I went off a little bit different direction there, but hopefully that created value for you.
Yeah. Well, I am so excited that we got to do this
Me
finally.
too.
We've been kind of talking about this. So I hope that you guys got as much value out of this as I have for the past 12 years. Probably not as much in this 1 hour, but at least planted some seeds and got you on track, got you excited, put some things in position. I think a couple of things stand out to me, but for sure that protocol. I love the protocol. Yeah. Always have the protocol in place. And just maybe replay this over and over again, because he is worth a replay. I can promise you that, over and over again. At least one. Because like you said, he talks so fast and there's so many great points and great quotes. So thanks again for joining us tonight. Make for sure that you check in with Tanya. And if you want to know more about Keith and connect with him, with you and your teams, it'd be a great opportunity for you. Thanks again, and thank you, Keith, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, and I know many people tuned tonight. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you this evening. I know you all have very busy schedules. I'm sure you weren't sitting around with nothing else to do. I'm sure you squeezed me in, so thank you for that and giving me the opportunity to serve your company tonight. And Jamie, thank you, as always, for the great relationship and a great friendship, too.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely. And
and
thanks to staff. Thank you. All right, bye-bye.